Three Canon printers, three very different beasts. Which one's right for you? Let's find out. Hi, I'm Adam, and welcome back to First Man Photography. And in today's video, we're going to be comparing the Canon Pixma Pro 200S, the Canon Imageprograph Pro 310, and the Canon Imageprograph Pro 1100. We're going to compare the key features like size, cost, and quality, take a look at each one, and we'll build the comparison chart as we go so you can keep track of the things that matter most to you. And then we'll do some printing so I can show you some side-by-side examples. This video is sponsored by Canon, but as a landscape photographer, my goal is simple: to make the best possible prints and bring my work back into the physical world where it belongs. Let's start with the most obvious difference, and that's size. This applies to the maximum print size they can produce, but also the actual physical footprint of the machine itself. The Pro 200S and the Pro 310 both go up to A3+, which is a really lovely format, and it's quite a bit larger than A3. And once you mount and frame a print that size, it becomes a genuinely impressive piece of artwork. The Pro 1100 though steps things up to A2, and if you've seen any of my videos before, you'll know I'm a bit addicted to big prints. A2 prints just have a real presence and they look phenomenal on the wall, but that comes with a significant bump in the size of the machine itself. Like the 1000 that it replaces, the 1100 is big, it's heavy, and once it's in position, it's not something you're going to want to move anytime soon, and you'd have to be absolutely mad to drag it up a hill. It's not designed to be portable, although they are shockingly rugged. The Pro 310 and the 200S, on the other hand, are a much more sensible size. They'll fit into most home offices without any hassle, but just keep in mind, all three printers have rear feed trays, so you'll need to leave a bit of space between the printer and the wall to load your paper properly. One feature I really like across all three is the ability to feed in roll paper to make custom-sized panoramic prints. The 200S will do prints just under a metre long, whilst the other two have had an upgrade from the previous models, so the 310 will now let you go up to 1.8 metres long, and the Pro 1100, using the long form mode, will do a whopping 3.2 metres. And if you're into big, sweeping landscape panoramas like I am, it's particularly exciting. The Pro 200S is Canon's latest entry-level A3+ printer. It features 8 dye-based inks that are particularly good for producing punchy, saturated colours. And like all the other printers, there are 2 feed trays, one at the top for your everyday use and a manual feed tray at the back for heavier fine art papers. Upgrades from the older 200 model are subtle, focusing around upgraded Wi-Fi to the 5 GHz band and better security to match up with modern routers. Existing features carried over from the Pro 200 include a direct Wi-Fi connection, which is handy because you basically power up the printer and it's ready to go without faffing about with cables. And if you connect to a network, either through Ethernet cable or Wi-Fi, it will also act as an Apple AirPrint device. And like all the models, it also connects with USB. If you're upgrading from an older model like the Canon Pro 100 or the 10S, then you're going to see really big improvements across the board. It's about 15% smaller than those machines, the box itself, and you're going to get stunning vibrancy in your prints. Reds, blues and magentas are rich and saturated, blacks are deeper, and the overall look has an almost luminous quality that dye inks do so well. It's just a really good all-rounder that will naturally fit into most workflows. The Pro 200S is significantly the fastest out of the three printers, producing an A3+ print in about 90 seconds. And like all three printers, it can make borderless prints to maximize your print size and your picture area. The Pro 310 shares the same form factor as the 200, but is a step up from the 200S and the older 300 with the introduction of Canon's top-end ink, the Lucia Pro 2 pigment ink. You lose the light grey from the 200S, but then gain matte black, red, and a chroma optimizer, which is like a clear coat for your prints, evening out the shine, deepening blacks, and giving your images that polished sort of gallery-ready finish. And now, with the latest professional print and layout software from Canon, we have extra controls over the chroma optimizer, where before you could only choose auto or overall. Now there's an option to turn it off altogether or have it ignore the borders to preserve paper texture. I've shared my experience with the Lucia Pro Ink 2 in a couple of previous videos now, and it really is a nice step up. It includes a new magenta that expands the colour gamut in the deep pinks and burgundies, which could make your sunset scenes pop even more. Print longevity is significantly improved, with up to 200 years on glossy and 180 on fine art papers, and the new ink formulation also includes a wax that adds scratch resistance on glossy paper, which helps with handling and framing. And also, if you like to mount your prints to a board like I do, or pin them to the wall, you can even wipe them clean with a damp cloth if something sort of gets spilled on it, but try not to. The 310 also supports more media types than the 200S, including Burita and Fine Art Smooth, and adds 6 new borderless print sizes, including A5, which is great if you're making your own cards. I did a full video about the Pro 1100 when it was first released, but it is the upgrade to the Pro 1000 that's been my companion for many years. The Pro 1100 has all the features of the 310 and the 200S, like improved Wi-Fi, new borderless sizes, and extra controls over Chroma Optimizer, but the main upgrade from the older 1000 is the new Lucia Pro Ink 2. But compared to the 310, it has 12 inks offering a wider blue gamut, which I saw in my previous video with the water drop pictures here. It has the upgraded matte black ink from the Pro 300 and 310. It means that the Canon Pro 1100 now has the very same ink found in Canon's large format printers. So you're getting some of the absolute best quality prints that Canon provides. Obviously, the main selling point here, though, of the 1100 compared to the 310 and the 200S is the larger A2 size, and that is just beautiful. So for the printing, I think rather than tell you about it, I'm just going to show you. So let's make some prints, get the room set up, and compare what these printers can do. Today, I'm mainly going to be using the best paper I have ever used, and that is the Canson Infinity Arch 88. This is a super smooth matte paper that just gives your prints an incredible finish without compromise. And if you've never heard of the Arch paper mill, I recommend looking it up, because it's fun to think that you're printing your photography on the paper used by the likes of Henri Matisse, Pablo Picasso, and Andy Warhol. We'll also be using the Canon Pro Platinum, which is a glossy one, and we'll be using that to test out the difference, if any, that the Chroma Optimizer makes. Right, it's time to hit print. Right, that took me about 6 hours to do all that, but it was a lot of fun because printing just gives me such a big buzz. The first lesson is, even though I've done all of that with a Wi-Fi connection, it's my least preferred way of connecting because it results in sometimes failed prints like this where it loses connection at some point, which kind of results in wasted ink and paper. Secondly, I use the included Canon professional print and layout software. I've talked about this a lot now, but it just makes things so easy and will work as a standalone app or as a plugin for Lightroom and Photoshop. It's perfect for arranging your layout and paper size. You can go borderless with the click of a button, and the pattern print feature allows you to dial in the exact tones and colours, almost eliminating the need for an expensive calibrated monitor. Thirdly, the 200S is amazing, and you can see they all look really of a similar quality, although bear in mind that you're seeing this through heavily compressed video files, and it's shot under video lights, so the light's not quite as even as we might like. So let's look at the first picture. The 200S definitely looks more punchy thanks to that dye-based ink, but the 310 and the 1100 definitely show, I think, more detail in the areas of high texture like the heather in the foreground. I also think they show a slightly more nuanced sky with better and more subtle transitions between the colours. If you wanted the punchy look of the 200S with the 310 and the 1100, you could dial that in, but I'm not sure the 200S could be much more detailed. With the second picture of my famous little tree, the 200S is again punchier, but that's not really what this image is supposed to be. It's subtle and serene, and the 310 and the 1100 produce that better, and it can particularly be seen in the reflections on the rock. We are being very picky here, but if you sell your prints, and like me, you want the very best quality and control over the products that you sell, then this could also be important for you. For the third photo, I did this one borderless, and it looks just lovely with this high contrast black and white from a magical day looking towards Blencathra in the Lake District. It's with this one though where we see the biggest differences between all three. The 200S actually looks brilliant and punchy, but there's definitely less detail in the grey areas. Also, all three have come out with a pretty different tone, as you can see in this shot, but that's where the pattern print feature of the software can be very useful. So you end up with the exact tone that you want. The 1100 shines here though, because it has two black inks. So on this paper, it's used the matte black ink, which the 310 also has, but the 1100 has two grey inks that it uses in combination to achieve smoother tonal transitions that the other two can't really achieve. So for the water drop, I had fun printing all three of these at exactly the same time, and they all look really good. Again, the colours are more subtle from the 310 and the 1100, and they give a better colour transition in the gradient you can see in the background. They also have utilised the chroma optimizer across the whole image, which is not massively noticeable on this high gloss Canon Pro Platinum paper, but on semi-gloss, it does provide a more even sheen across the image. I'll put links down below to give you up-to-date pricing, but at the time of recording, the Canon Pro 200S costs £460, the Pro 310 will set you back £770, and the Pro 1100 comes in at £1099. One important note is that all three printers come with a set of starter inks, and I've never struggled to get at least 25 full-size prints out of these cartridges. In fact, when I set the Pro 200S and the 310 up, these seem to be full. But because there's so many colours as well, they're not going to run out at the same time, and you'll never have to pay the eye-watering price for a full set of inks. Just replace each one as it runs out, and it becomes a normal cost of producing physical artwork. As you can see from our table, the ink cartridges for the Pro 1100 are more than twice as expensive, but due to the size of the cartridges, it works out about 60% cheaper per milliliter, and they last a lot longer even when printing A2. If I'm only printing my personal work, I rarely spend more than £20 to £50 per month on ink, depending on the printer I use. I made a similar video to this a few years ago comparing older iterations of these models, and the conclusion is similar to back then. It's difficult to say which is the best printer because it really depends on your individual circumstances, and particularly how much physical space you have for the printer. You need a decent amount of space for the Pro 1100, but A2 is a big step up, and it's also a perfect size even for very large rooms. If you're a casual photographer who wants to make the occasional print, then the Pro 200S is a perfect way to go. If you've never printed before, this is going to give you a massive buzz. It's cheaper than the vast majority of lenses and will do wonders for your photography. If you already have the Pro 200 though, upgrading to this 200S doesn't make much sense, and you're going to be better off looking at the 310 or the 1100. If I was buying a printer for the first time today, I'd do one of two things. I'd either go with the 310 and be happy forever, or I'd buy the 200S now with a view to upgrading to the Pro 1100 with the bigger A2 size further down the line, once I'd built up my printing skills and my desire. The point is, all of these printers are superb and will help you achieve that vital and most fulfilling conclusion to the photographic process. Click here to watch how to print, price, and sell your photography, or you can click here to watch me drag one of these massive A2 printers up a hill to make a print out in the field. That was a fun day, as has today been. See you again soon. Bye.